Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Rachel and my channel is for anybody who cares about language, technology, and other people. And today I'm joined by the wonderful Jesse Mostipak. And I think actually folks might know you already, but do you want to introduce yourself really quickly? Who are you? What do you do? Do you care about other people? I'm assuming yes.
Yes, I think people are great. So my name is Jesse Mostipak. I am a developer advocate at Baseten, and you've probably seen me on Twitter. I do a lot of content creation, primarily around the data science and machine learning spaces.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where we first met, and it might have been at Twitter. It might have been at a conference. It might have been. No, wouldn't have been.
No, I think we have never met in person. I believe we are. I think we're Twitter friends. Yes.
What? Oh, that's wild.
You've been to an RStudio conference?
I haven't been to any RStudio conference. That's exactly what I was thinking about. All right. Well, online friends. No, so I thought we could kick off just to give people who aren't as familiar with your work and might be interested, and also a little bit of context to the conversation. Do you want to talk a little bit about your story, your professional story, as much of your personal story as you want to fold in, if at all? What's the story of Jesse?
The story of Jesse, yeah. So thinking about your channel and kind of machine learning and data science and all of that, let's start. Grew up, first person in my family to go to college. Did not have my own personal computer until sometime in my 30s. Didn't grow up with a computer, really inconsistent computer access type stuff. Growing up, all of that. And so was really into video games, particularly World of Warcraft, and had a computer at that point. And so was teaching high school science and kind of got to a point where I was looking ahead at my future, and it was just like, maybe I wasn't sure where I was going to go. It didn't seem like there was a lot of room for advancement, also kind of buried under student loan debt. I'm a proud graduate of 2008, right into that recession. So lots of things came together. But when I was in graduate school, I've worked on a PhD. I haven't finished it, but I took a multivariate statistics class, and they insisted we use R. And so I've been exposed to the R programming language for statistics, and kind of found myself in this place where I was like, maybe I'll be a game developer, or like maybe I'll play World of Warcraft professionally. And somehow ended up on Twitter, and this company was looking for volunteers, and they were primarily focused on World of Warcraft type stuff. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll write your blogs for you. So I would write these Hearthstone blogs. And then one day they were like, are you good at math? And I was like, yeah. I mean, I've done Calc, AB, BC, so like I can do math. And they were like, cool, can you pull together, take the League of Legends API and do some kind of data analysis and give us a presentation in 2 weeks? And I was like, sure. At this point, I decided to make a career transition. I was leaving education, wasn't really sure what to do, and this kind of fell in my lap. So I was like, let's do it. Didn't know what an API was. This was, gosh, 8-9 years ago. Had, like really passing familiarity with a lot of stuff. And I remember I did a presentation, and I think it was mostly a data visualization showing different comparisons and kind of trends in the game. And they were like, great, you're hired. What would you like your title to be? And this was around the time of that very famous article, I think, from PJ Patil, which was data science is the sexiest job of the 21st century. And I was like, I'm a data scientist. Because you don't get these opportunities very often. And so they were like, great, you're a data scientist. And I thought this was going to be the start of my data science career. And it was, but I was management tracked probably within the first 3 to 6 months. Started managing a team, building a team, doing a ton of project management, hiring data scientists, hiring contractors, did a lot of really cool things with this organization, and learned the hard way that seed startups don't often make it past the seed stage. And one day just found myself without a job and was looking for things to do. So I moved into the nonprofit sector. I did research and evaluation with the Girl Scouts of Northeast Texas, which was very data heavy and data centric, and then hit a ceiling there, and a position opened up. I moved to another nonprofit organization, Teaching Trust, where I was doing educational data science work. Really enjoyed my time there, but was still doing management work, and kind of got to this point where I was like, ooh, I don't know. I think I want to do more individual contributor work. I don't feel as technically skilled as I should be at this point in my career. And I'm not as sure I'm as excited about management as I should be. And so I put a tweet out in the world, and Rachel, you responded to that tweet. I remember saying something about looking for an IC role, looking to develop technical skills, working with the community. And so I interviewed with Kaggle, and that was the most technical position I've ever had. It was it was my first developer advocacy role. I really loved it. I loved creating content. I loved learning technical stuff. I loved figuring out how do we incorporate creativity into data science, machine learning, and make this approachable and accessible. From there, I moved to RStudio, and from RStudio to Baseten, where I am less technical and find myself in this really interesting place where I love the tech. I love talking to data scientists, machine learning engineers. I love talking to technical people, but I'm loving combining that with content creation. So it's a little scary to not be as technical as I used to be, but also a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying it.
I think that post was actually the one that I had left because I was the developer advocate at, one of them. There were several. Yeah, so I passed the torch on to a very worthy successor.
Very big shoes to fill, I've got to say. You are replacing, well, not replacing, but like you are moving into the position that Rachel had left, and I was like, okay. It's very scary.
I think you did wonderfully. And do you want to talk a little bit about Baseten, specifically the company, not the
numeric
yes, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, so Baseten is a Series A startup, and really we have a platform, we have packages, we have open source packages. We're really looking to help data scientists extract value out of their models in a variety of ways. If you use our platform is a really great stand-in for an MLOps team. So if you are a data scientist at a resource-constrained organization, if you are thinking maybe we should hire some MLOps people, but like maybe not, like definitely I would recommend checking out Baseten. And then I'm going to stop myself there because I'm not sure what else I can and cannot say. But yes, it is. I would say if you look at the platform, if there's anything you're interested in, always reach out. I'm happy to connect you to the right people to answer your questions.
Yes, I will say that was Jesse talking to y'all, not just me. Just to be clear.
Yes, true.
Sorry, I have notes here for the next thing I'd like to talk about, and I think what I'm reading is meet Gene Dog New, and I don't think that is what I mean to write. Well, we'll just move on to the next one.
I'm like, what could it be? Meet Gene Dog New.
No idea. But the next thing I thought would be particularly interesting is, so something that we've been talking about a lot on the channel, because of course one of my research topics, and one of the things I think a lot about is, ethics in machine learning and how our systems that we're working on affect people living in the world. And of course, with the Stable Diffusion thing, one of the things that we've been talking a lot about is art and artists. And I sort of mention sometimes that I know some artists, and I would count you among them. So do you want to talk a little bit about just sort of like your experience with art? You don't have to touch on generative stuff right now, but I know you have done some generative art, so if you want to.
Yeah. So my generative art experience, well, we'll save that for last. So I grew up drawing. I, as a child, wanted to be an artist and an animator. That's what I wanted to do. I was heavily discouraged from doing that. It was not a good career path. That's not what we want you to do. And so was pushed more into the math and sciences. And it turns out that if your kid has something they really want to do, they're going to find their way back to it. So I do enjoy what I do in tech, but a lot of what I do in my free time is art and animation. And with the pandemic, it really gave me this opportunity to dig into school a little more seriously, not just, I'm going to take a one-off workshop here or like maybe read this book, but I've kind of gone this trajectory of, I started with School of Motion, and all of this was kicked off by my time at Kaggle, where they were like, surprise, you do video now. And I was terrified. And then I was hooked. It was this very like complete 180. And so I thought I really was interested in motion design. So I started taking classes in that. And I was like, no, I think it's animation. Like, I think I really am interested in animation. And so I was doing classes at the Rhode Island School of Design. And there was not like a really strong sense of community. They are still struggling to figure out online education. And so now I'm enrolled at this school, Animation Mentor. They've been online since the beginning. I don't know, I think they've been around 15, 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is. I really, really enjoy the learning experience. And so I'm really digging into 3D character animation is where I'm at now, and drawing on the side, but a lot of what I'm doing is very heavy, really digging into Maya and doing this technical and artistic animation, which it turns out is significantly harder than I originally thought.
Yeah, I've had making channel animations on my to-do list for around 6 months now, but it takes so much time, so much time. But yeah, especially with 3D animation, I can see the through line with World of Warcraft and video games and modeling all comes together.
Yeah, it does all kind of weave together, and as for generative art, I like throwing things into Stable Diffusion or Dolly, but to me it's more of like a party trick. It is, and I recognize this is something someone has pointed out is not a universal experience, but for me, I can sit and be like, oh, let me think of this, I can do my own prompt engineering and I can probably sketch something out faster than it takes like a Stable Diffusion to generate, and I can never get Stable Diffusion or Dolly to come close to what I actually want. And so for me, I just don't use it. I don't derive value out of using it, I guess is what I'm saying. I think it's fun. I think you can do some weird stuff, but in terms of being able to just sit down and draw out what I'm thinking, right? That is like a well-wired pathway for me.
Yeah, I mean, sort of similarly, often the call for which, I mean, obviously I have channel assets, and for the stuff I've had done custom, obviously I pay artists, which is something we talk about on the channel a lot. It's good and important to pay artists for their labor, otherwise it's gonna stop existing. But sort of the other call that I have for extremely specific art is for D&D characters. So I don't talk about this a lot publicly, but I really enjoy a tabletop role-playing game. That's not fair. I talk about it publicly a lot, just not really on my professional channels. But I am a very much an enjoyer of tabletop role-playing games, and I've had sort of similar experience. Every so often I'll be like, I wonder if I could make a good representation of the character I'm imagining, and I never can. It's always just faster and way better to commission an artist to do, the specific character I want. Especially if I'm going to be looking at it as my little thumbnail, I want it to look good. I want it to look the way that I want it to look. So I feel you. And even though I have a very large personal interest in anatomy, that has never in any way extended to wanting to actually do the design. For me, it's much more about, practically as a personal trainer.
Yeah.
And much less I want to make bones drawn good. Sorry, little tangent.
No, 100%. I think that's such an important point, because it's so interesting to me, because I'm now pretty immersed in the world of art and animation, and I'm now seeing tech people talk about how they can't draw, right? And it's so interesting to me because drawing is a skill that's taught, right? Like anything, some of us have a natural affinity for it versus others, but we don't teach drawing the way that we teach reading or we teach math, right? But we could. Anyone with any instruction can improve their drawing skills. It's a learned skill. It's not a special talent that's locked away. And I've started to liken it in a lot of ways when someone says, oh, I can't do math. Anyone can do math, right? We can teach math. We have the tools to teach math. And so when people say they can't draw, I'm always like, you can draw. And it does become a time trade-off, right? Especially if you are an adult with a career, do you want to sink time into learning how to draw? Maybe, maybe not. But it is something, I think it's really important for people to know and to hear that you can draw. You, Rachel, but you, anybody watching this, you can draw. And just takes time.
Yeah, I mean, just like machine learning engineering, right? Just like anything else, you can absolutely sit down and do it, and there's good teachers and bad teachers, and you will get better over time. Yeah, I guess the sort of the edge cases would be people with dyscalculia or, know. But know, right? If you have dyscalculia, if you have, face blindness and genuinely you cannot look at the two faces and see whether or not they're the same. It's not a surprise to you that you have this disability, most likely. So, yeah. No, art is great, and I'm glad that there are artists in the world, and I'm happy to pay for their labor and not do it myself, visual art specifically. But, I mean, given that you do have this animation background, actually, I'm trying to remember, I think it was at Pie Cascades, I want to say a while ago. It was in Vancouver, and Vancouver is, of course, I say, of course, many of you may not know this, Vancouver is one of the big, animation hubs in Canada. It's like the Hollywood of animation in Canada, basically. And a lot of their pipeline relies on Python. So if you're interested in animation and coding, perhaps you can use Python for that. Obviously, if you're doing more sort of statistical generative art, R might be a better choice. But I'm interested to hear, as someone who has both the data science, machine learning background, and also, the art and animation background, what software tools are there that perhaps use machine learning that you're like, yes, I love this one. This one's great.
So this is where I basically let everybody know that I'm a Luddite. I love pencil and paper, ink. I really, because so much of my work is digital, I really relish the opportunity to sit down with tangible things that I can touch and that I can literally hang on my own refrigerator, right? Like that is something I enjoy. I will say, so in animation, in 3D character animation, it's very common to use Maya or a proprietary version of something similar to Maya. You can use Blender, which I think it's Blender. It's the open source free version, but essentially, yeah, so what we do with Maya and the way a lot of animation works is you take a character and you pose it, and that's called setting a key. You're going to set a keyframe. And then usually you go out a couple more keyframes and you can set a different pose, right? And then Maya will say, I think the best path from A to B is this. And it's machine learning, is my understanding, and it's usually horribly wrong. I mean, sometimes it gets it right, but it's this uncanny valley where the computer, the software, doesn't know how humans move, right? Like humans don't move in straight lines. Humans don't always move in predictable ways. So the computer tries really hard, but the way my program is set up, for example, I have a mentor. She has been at Pixar for 20 years. She's been animating for 27 years. And every class is like, Maya is here to ruin your day. Like you will have the best intentions, and then you have to fight with Maya because what it thinks you want is not what you want. So it's currently at odds. But I will say there is this ability, you can write Python scripts for Maya. Then I've also used Python when I am really bad at typos, mistakes, and I have turned so you select pieces of a rig. The curves, right, is what you're going to select. And I've accidentally turned curves off and made them unselectable and lost them and not been able to bring them back. And I've used Python to bring them back. So writing a little Python, really simple select statements, nothing too crazy or out there. But yeah, using a little bit of coding makes it, I think it's this nice balance because I know that I can do more with the scripting side of things in Maya, though I'm still working on a bouncing ball, y'all. It's not that fancy yet. So,
yeah, I remember. I don't know if it's still the case because I don't actually keep that close an eye on the reinforcement learning literature. But gait learning for a very simplified rig was taking a little stick person and making them walk at all consistently without having to be told specifically was one of the big research areas in reinforcement learning. And it sounds like they at least haven't gotten to the point where open source programs are using it in a way that's very simple for newer students to learn.
Yeah, it's I would say Maya is. Are you asking about how hard is Maya to learn,
or just I don't know. I guess the hope and the promise was that it would make 3D animation significantly easier because of these learned gaits.
Got it. Yeah, I don't think animators are going to be replaced by computers anytime, which is fine because I enjoy what I do. Yeah, I mean, to give you an idea of the things they teach us as humans, right? So I'm going into week 6 of this Intro to Animation 3D animation course. I have still not been given anything with legs, right? This is considered a very big week for us because we get a ball with a tail, and the tail has 3 joints. Or no, it has 3 segments. So 2 joints and 3 segments, right? We've got to make it bounce and do the right overlap with the tail. I think I've still got 2 or 3 more weeks before I get something with legs. And in that situation, it's literally a ball with 2 legs and very simple articulation. I will not actually touch a human rig for walking until my next course in the progression. Walking is hard. I've done a 2D stop motion with a walk cycle, and I cried. It was so hard. Getting something to walk is so hard. And then when you add in, here's the interesting thing about walking is none of us walk the same way, right?
You want to show character.
Right? So you've got to show character. And then there's also this idea of being able to recognize. So if a friend of mine is at a distance walking away from me, I can usually tell, like you can usually tell it's your friend, even from a distance walking away from you, because you've kind of learned their walk, their gait, like all the things that make them who they are. So yeah, it's not to get fully off on a tangent. I mean, this is one of the things that in 2D animation you see from Studio Ghibli that is so beautiful and takes so much time is they definitely animate their crowds as each person is an individual, as an individual character, rather than just kind of like, we're going to copy and paste this walk cycle, and we're going to slap it on a bunch of our crowd characters and like call it a day. So yeah, walks are hard. Walks are really hard. So I mean, I kind of want a computer.
But even if it got you like the framework, you'd still want to tweak it to be like, and this person, you know, has a limp, or maybe, you know, they're a toe stepper, have some sort of movement pathology. And even within, you know, healthy movements, there's endless variety.
That's
Bodies
such
are
a great point, right? Like I can set up a bouncing ball, I can set my keyframes, and I'll let Maya do it at once for curves, but Maya doesn't know it's a ball. Maya doesn't know what the ball is made of. It doesn't know what the surface that it's bouncing off of is. And so we do see this a lot in game animation where you've got someone in a mocap suit. And so the animation is, you know, the mocap suit will get you 70 to 80% of the way there. And then the animator is really coming in and like polishing it up and stylizing it. But like in that case, right, we're still using a human in a mocap suit. We're not yet using a, you know, machine learning or deep learning generated rig. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's not something I know that much about or keep that close an eye on. So it's interesting that it's not yet solved. If it ever will be.
It will be eventually at some point, right? And then it'll give animators something else to work on. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My dream and hope for the future is that artists all have a nicer time and less crunch.
Yes. I don't know what it is with like the broad societal disregard for art and artistry that we are currently experiencing, or maybe I don't know if we've always experienced it, but yeah, it does seem like there's some weird stuff going on. So
yeah, I've also been thinking about that recently, and like what types of labor we value is not congruent with which types of labor, you know, bring us the most joy and ability to continue being living human beings. But yeah, society. So moving a little bit sideways, I guess it's still like sort of art related. One thing that I know that you've talked a little bit about, and you know, we both at various points in the past, you currently are developer advocates, and a big part of being a developer advocate is personal branding, and it's, I mean, maybe a little bit more obvious for us because a big part of the job is to be public. That is only, I will say, part of the job. You don't see the little feet, the duck feet under the water, but they are going. For those of you who are interested in this career path, I know that there's a lot of duck paddling, but it is relevant for everybody. And I mean, not to be, you know, super grim, but it is kind of a rough hiring environment right now, you know, and I think anything that can give folks fighting chance at not just finding work, but finding work that they're a good fit for and they enjoy is more than welcome. So do you want to give a very quick introduction to what is branding? Why would people do it? Is it really like soulless and corporate and horrible like I might think it is?
It's not. It can be. So I'm not sure. So we potentially had the same guidance on personal branding through the fantastic and lovely Rachel Melby, who worked, I think, was at Kaggle. We both overlapped with Rachel's time at Kaggle. And at one point I did sit down with her and I was like, branding. And so, you know, and she was like, part of why you're here is because you have developed a personal brand. And so I think of branding and personal branding as who I am authentically as a person, but like filtered through a specific lens. And so if I'm on Twitter, you know, a lot of how I built my brand before Kaggle was like, when I am on Twitter, I will talk about data science and machine learning education, and I will help other people learn. And it was, I would do this thing where I would 3 before me. And so I would make sure that I amplified the voices of 3 other people before I tweeted anything. And so that was how I approached, because I was really interested in community building. And so I thought about, who do I want to be seen as, who, and which aligns with who I am and who I naturally am. So it was never this like, oh, I want to be seen as this kind of person, even though I'm really this kind of person. It was more, I like building communities. I like talking to people. I like learning, and I'm still learning. So how do I do that on Twitter is how I think of it. And now I really think of it. I do a rebranding exercise for myself about once a quarter. And I sit down and I think about, like, I write out all the things I am and do. And then I look for these weird intersections that make me me. And then just kind of push on that when I post or interact in a professional setting.
I think revisiting it periodically, particularly if you're in a public facing role, is a great idea. And I sort of have two competing ideas of branding in my head. And one is very similar to what you said, editing, right? Like, we're all multifaceted, complex human beings. There's many wonderful parts of my life that I don't really talk about in a professional context or Twitter, right? Like I mentioned, I'm really into tabletop role-playing games. I've tweeted about them maybe 3 times ever. It's not because they're not an important part of my life. They just don't fit in with the brand that I am portraying on Twitter. And, if people followed me for data science and machine learning and I'm suddenly all like, Strahd or whatever, I think they would be frustrated. So it's editing, and then editing consistently as, part of keeping a promise to your community, even though, of course, it's not, I do talk about it a little bit, but it's not the main thing that I'm talking about. And then the other thing that I think about, and this I would say is more on the content creation side of things, is another thing that I'm very into and don't talk about much on my Twitter is professional wrestling. Right? Again, just not on the Twitter, right? But if you are not familiar with professional wrestling, it is about theater nerds who are all very buff and do flips on each other is basically what it is. And in professional wrestling, branding is very consistent. It's very in your face. It involves a lot of repetition. It involves a lot of themes. Like, every wrestler has their costume. They have their specific colors. They have their entrance themes. They've renamed specific moves that are for their brand. So, like, great example of this that I think most people might be familiar with would be The Undertaker, right? He's spooky. He's all about graves. He wears this long black coat. His finisher is called the Tombstone, which is where he takes somebody and then drops them on their head. Basically, it's very fun looking. It has spooky organ music. Sometimes he'll come in a coffin. So it's like a visual and auditory and thematic elements throughout, which he's not, I don't believe, actually an actual Undertaker. I think this is all, make believe in fantasy and costumes and etc. But, in a content production space, that's a really good case study, right? So my channel has a consistent color palette that's sort of greens and purples and, muted tones, because a lot of machine learning content I find very jarring to look at with my eyeballs. It's all that bright blue, it's black, it's white, it's metal, and those are colors that A, don't look good near my face, so that's part of it. And B, I don't like to look at. It has handmade elements. It has, handwriting or sort of blocky script. So those are things that I've thought about in a content creation thing. And I think when people think about branding, that's usually what they're thinking about. They're thinking about the professional wrestlers. You don't have to be a professional wrestler, but you do need to edit, right? Don't be posting your, party pictures to LinkedIn unless it was a professional party.
Yeah. I think that's a big piece of it too, is what goes where. And I have been, it's so funny we're having this conversation, because I have been in this swirly, stormy, I don't know what goes where, period. And I finally made the decision where I was like, oh, I'm really just going to focus on Twitter being for work and data science and machine learning, and everything else is going to go over here. And so at first it felt a little weird, and now it's kind of amazing. I mean, I just decided this 2 days ago, but it's such a relief to be here on Twitter is where I'm going to talk about these things, and then here on this site is where I'm going to talk about these things, right? And it's okay to separate things in that way. I would say Twitter, LinkedIn, those are places where professionally people are going to look for your portfolio, Kaggle, depending on what you're doing. So just be aware that assume everything is public. Assume anything you write on the internet is a postcard available to anybody to read at any point in time, now and forever into the future. That being said, I think it's okay. It's okay you don't have to be the same person on every platform. And I think that is really kind of nice to have that there is some freedom in it. And it's about putting up boundaries in a lot of ways too. What you can talk, what you not can, but what you talk about on Twitter and the kinds of, what you're choosing to. And it helps with your networking too, right? Who you're talking to on Twitter or LinkedIn is probably going to be a little different from who you're talking to on Instagram or Mastodon or whatever. I don't know. There's so many these days. So many.
I think it can be helpful sometimes to think about it like facets of a gem, right? Like different things are going to catch the light, but that doesn't mean the rest of the facets aren't there. It's just you're not showing those off right now.
Yeah, it's definitely something when people ask me about branding, they kind of get in this mindset of like, oh, I have to be this one thing all the time on all platforms. And it's very rigid. It's not. Like Rachel, you are so much more disciplined than I am, because I would be like, this is my brand and it's perfect. And then 2 weeks later, I'm like, now this is my, like in terms of like color palettes and design elements. Even with Twitter's gotten a little off track for me, up until recently. So kind of getting that. And that's what I'll say too, is you can give yourself the grace to make mistakes, and to sometimes it's a lot and you just need to kind of not worry about it. So.
Yes, definitely. And I would say like part of what I would consider your brand is like exuberance and enthuusim and trying new things. So I think that would be, well within the bounds, which I realize this is very, meta, but I don't know. I'm keeping an eye on the job market and
every day I'm just like, I have a job today. I've done my best. It is not the same job market that it was even 3 years ago. It is
6 months ago. It's moving fast.
It is. Yeah. I used to feel like I had a pretty good beat on the data science, developer advocate, machine learning hiring market. And now I feel like I don't know, like I don't understand any of it anymore. I don't understand the networks. Like there have been some fundamental shifts in how things in data science and machine learning work, and especially in the hiring space. And I just don't have a good feel for it anymore, which is kind of weird. It's unsettling.
It is. Yeah, it is moving very quickly.
Yeah.
And it's, on the one hand, it's kind of nice because we have, back when, I was getting into the field full time in, 2016-ish, their data scientists could be anything. You would be doing ML ops, you'd be doing statistics, you'd be doing data visualization, you'd be doing BI, you'd be doing, maybe you'd be a DBA, and they just wanted to call it a data scientist to get more candidates in. But I do feel like the field has shaken out a little bit, whereas like now, if you say ML engineer, I'm like, okay, I kind of know what you're looking for, right? Or like ML ops person, okay, I kind of know what you're looking for.
Yes.
That wasn't the case like a couple of years ago, but it is getting better.
Yeah, there's a lot more specialization. Like what I did as a data scientist would never pass as data science today. It would like at all. And but when I was doing it, it was perfectly great. It was fine. There was nothing. No one batted an eye. Yeah, I would not even looking at MLE jobs. There's no way I would. Like that's not anything that I'm qualified to do. And like that's part of it too, is you're seeing when I got into data science, you really could just say like, yes, I'm a data scientist. And people were like, cool, let's see your portfolio. And that was enough to get you in the door and get you interviews and get people talking to you. Now there's more degrees, there's certifications. Absolutely. I think the bar for entry, I won't say that it was ever low, but I think it's significantly harder to get into data science and machine learning right now than it ever has been.
Yeah, especially with
how I feel about that.
Hiring numbers going down, and the amount of interest in the field has only gone up over time. So yeah, if you're entry level and out there looking, I feel for you. I feel for you. we both at various points in our lives came onto the job market at less than ideal time, so we know how it is.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah. I think, when I first got started in data science and then the seed startup fell through, I was working 3 or 4 jobs at a time while doing data work. I will say like not all data jobs you're going to walk into are 6 figures, right? And I don't believe in paying your dues, but I think that if you are committed to being in the world of data as a career, sometimes you have to sidestep and you kind of have to navigate it. And it's not a clear path to the top. You will have career setbacks. You will have to take on sometimes side jobs or rely on family or rely on a partner. You will need additional support outside of just your job, and support in terms of emotional, mental, financial, all of it. It's all there.
And
it's not easy.
Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you, and it doesn't mean you're a failure. And your working life will be long and multivarious, and do not don't be hard on yourself. Right. No, little love letter to those of you who are searching right now.
Yeah.
I'm checking my notes. I still have no idea. Oh, I think it's what you're doing now. Yeah, so Meet Gene Dog New is in fact what you're doing now, which should tell y'all something about my handwriting. It's not legible.
That's okay. No, I think it's good. You know, I've really found a place, I think, in data science where for the longest time, I really had this idea that the only jobs worth doing were the technical jobs. But I never found myself coding outside of work. I never found myself super jazzed to code and dig into the technical stuff. It was like, cool, I can do it. I'll do what needs to be done. I really like talking to people. And I think there's something in figuring out what you like to do and what you're good at within the broader field of data science and machine learning. I'm very comfortable talking to a machine learning expert, a machine learning researcher, and having a good idea of what their field is. And, you know, I may not be at the cutting edge of machine learning research, but I really love talking to people and hearing their stories and then bundling that up into creative video content. And I don't know, you know, that's developer advocacy. Sometimes it's content marketing. Sometimes it's product marketing. I think that's really about finding a space that works for you. And I mean, I don't know, if you walk into that right out of school, great. I'm very happy for you. I've been in this game for almost 10 years now. And I told actually a colleague today, I was like, I love what I do. And he was like, okay. And I was like, no, like I really love what I do. And it was probably way more intense than the situation warranted. But I think it's really rewarding to kind of try new things, try the things that scare you. I almost quit Kaggle when they were like, your first project is a video on TPUs. And I was like, bye. And I was sick for 3 days before that first video launched. And I laid in bed knowing it had launched, like crying and like being really, really upset and like just terrified. And now I'm like, yeah, let's do a video. That sounds great. Right. So be open to new experiences.
Yeah. You know, sort of to piggyback off of that and agree with you. You know, I went to grad school because I wanted to be a professor, and a big part of being a professor is writing research papers. And when I stopped having to write research papers every day, I got 80% of my brain back because writing things is about the most draining work I do on a consistent basis. I mean, I still do it because we live in a hyperliterate society, but yeah, it wasn't what was easy for me to do. And I think everyone has things that are easier for them to do than most people.
Yeah, and I think, you know, there are ways to take what you love and like find what you love. It was really hard to let go of coding because of my own personal biases around like, no, only the technical people are the smart people, right? It's particularly now that I say it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I believe that, you know, there are ways to work your way into really creative endeavors in tech. I am absolutely every day wake up so thankful and fortunate and grateful that I get to do creative work in tech because it's fun. It's so like sometimes I'm like, should it be this fun? Something to think, and it can be. Your job does not have to be a slog 24/7. So
no. Yeah, no, I hope everyone has work that they enjoy and find fulfilling.
Yeah.
That's my hope.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a difference. And if you don't, man, keep looking. I mean, like, don't quit your job, but like, look. It never hurts to look at what's out there, ever. So that's always my advice to people when they're like, I think I want to change careers. Look what's out there. Who knows? Who knows? Apply before you're ready, et cetera, et cetera. So,
yeah. And I would say if you're seriously consistently thinking about changing careers, to me, that says that there's something that you are not happy about. And maybe you can fix it where you are, and maybe you can't. But, you know, if you want to run, there is a reason for that. And you should maybe maybe journal on it. You know, think about it. What is it that you really are trying to leave? Maybe it's a specific person you're not thrilled to be working with.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a big piece of it. You know, figuring out your work environment. I will say that Baseten is the calmest place I've ever worked.
Oh, that's nice.
It's so nice. It's a startup. There is a sense of urgency. I have yet to feel like I'm running around putting out fires. And I have come to recognize that I'm naturally drawn to places where I am putting out fires. And it's so nice to not have that, to have just a really calm, approachable workplace. So yeah, like evaluate the culture. Like culture becomes more important, especially as you move up in your career. It's harder when you're earlier in your career, I think. I think you luck into it. If you get a good culture, like that's luck in a lot of ways. But yeah, keep pushing until you get somewhere you're happy.
Well, thank you for that lovely sentiment to end on. I feel like this turned into career advice with your aunties.
I just want to like help every person who's like, I feel so bad. Sometimes I get these Twitter DMs that are like, help me be a data scientist and I will be the best student. And if only you are my mentor. And I'm like it's so much, but like you want people to be successful. Yeah. I think anyone's happy to give career advice for sure.
Definitely. Probably happier if you have a specific question that you are asking and don't just want to know how to get started, because there are many blogs on that, and I would look for the blogs first.
Yes.
Before we wrap up, because I know you have a time crunch, is there anything that you want to plug?
I will plug, come hang out with me at the data science community. It is community.baseten.c. Really trying to build it from the ground up, make it what works for us. We have a November book club. We'll be reading The Data Detective, and we have bi-weekly content that is always free, open source. This week we are watching Brandon Rohr's How Do Convolutional Neural Networks Work? So we have lots of cool stuff happening there. Always welcoming more people. And then on November 1st, I am launching the Data and Curiosity video series, which is conversations with data scientists, machine learning engineers, all kinds of data people, not so much about their jobs, but about like weird things that they're into. So we will be talking with Rachel, and I have filed away. So yeah, that'll be, you can find it in the data science community, community.baseten.co. There will be links to it there. You can find us on YouTube.
So definitely check those things out. I think a lot of you will find them very useful. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Jesse. I had a blast. Hopefully everyone watching also enjoyed this very much. This has been Dr. Rachel Tapman, and I will see everybody on stream on Thursday. Our usual coffee chat. We'll talk about machine learning and NLP this week. Bye!